present simple, simple present. The first thing that we are going to talk about is the difference between present simple and simple present. The Oxford English Dictionary is using always present simple, and Cambridge Dictionary is using simple present. And it's just like they use it interchangeably. Some universities use them in different ways, and some people can place in exams, for example, write a sentence using present simple. Other universities can say, write a sentence using simple present. And that's the only difference, really. You don't have to get worried about that. Please do not freak out if you see it one way or another, because that is going to be just the way that it is. And one of the things that are very important is to consider the rules. As you can see, I have here I work, and then you work, he works, she works, it works, we work, you work, and they work. And one thing that we need to talk about is that I, you, he, she, and it at the beginning here, they are singular. And we, you, and they are plural. And one of the things that I want to share is that the rules only apply to third person singular. So the third person singular will be he, she, and it. And the verb, depending on the rule, it adds es at the end, or ies. But in this case, he works, she works, and it works. It adds the s because the verb ends in k. Work, right? Like the k sound, k consonant. And that's why we add the s at the end. And for all other pronouns, I, you, we, you, they use only the base form, that is work. One of the things that are very important to consider are the long and the short form in a sentence. So we have here, I work every day. She works in an office. They work on weekends. And the short form will not give a lot of details. So it will be, I work, she works, they work. When we talk about negative sentences, we also consider the long form and the short form. And this is very important because you can use do or does according to the subject, according to the pronoun, and then you add not. So it will be, I do not work on Sundays. He does not work in the evenings. We do not work during holidays. Then the short form will be using contractions, of course. I don't work. He doesn't work. We don't work. And this is important about the distinction between contractions, is that we try not to use in a written form contractions. We try to perhaps speak with contractions because actually makes it easier to communicate, and it reduces kind of the length of the things that we're going to share. But in this case, one thing that I recommend is that we do not use the contraction. And then questions, when we think about long form and short forms, we have, do I work too much? Does she work at the school? Do they work on Saturdays? Or the short form, do I work? Does she work? Do they work? At the end of every single question, there is an intonation that you need to have in consideration, because it will tell the person that is listening to you that this is a question rather than a statement or a sentence, to make sure that the person understands our intentions, that we are asking a question. And the last points that I want to make is that there are structures that you need to follow, such as, for example, for the positive long form of a sentence, you can use subject, verb, and the rest of the sentence, or SVO, which is subject, verb, object. And the example here says, he works hard every day. Then the negative long form would be subject, do, does, not, base, verb, and then rest of the sentence. She does not work on weekends. Then we have question long form with do, does, then the subject, then the base form of the verb, and then the rest of the sentence. Does he work in landscaping? And then the short version for questions, again, you remove the extra details to simplify the question. So it would be, does she work? Does she work? So if we can review again, the examples would be like this. He works hard every day. She does not work on weekends. Does he work in landscaping? Does she work? Thanks for joining me in this video. Subscribe to the channel and share it with others. I'll bring you new lessons every week to keep your learning on track. I'd love to hear from you. Share your thoughts, questions, or examples in the comments below. The consistency and verity of your studies are the foundation of your learning success.